Hi everyone! In this tutorial I'm going to walk you through Cytek's full spectrum viewer, and once we've gotten through that tool, I'm going to show you the SpectroFlo Experiment Builder. The idea for the Experiment Builder is you can take all of the fluorochromes you've selected for your experiment from the full spectrum viewer, immediately transfer those into the Experiment Builder, then you can choose your markers and set your tubes or plates, so then you can export a SpectroFlo experiment template that you can take to the cytometer when you're ready to acquire your samples. On this page, you can see that on the y-axis, I'm showing a normalized emission for each fluorochrome, and on the x-axis, you have two options. You can display here the channel names across every single detector on the system. Right now, you can see I'm set to the 5-laser configuration. You can go ahead and change that if you're working with a 3-laser system or any other configuration we have. If I would rather see the peak channel wavelength for each of these detectors, I can use this channel button and toggle it to wavelength. And now you can see on the x-axis, I am seeing the center wavelength for each filter on the system. Another option for the plot is if you prefer to see a grid on your plot, you can click this toggle to show it. I'm going to toggle back and hide it again. Now I've got my 5-laser configuration, and you can see each of the 5 detectors is laid out, starting with the lowest wavelength. So UV is the first one, represented by this light spectrum gradient here. And that spectrum starts again for the violet over here, and continues with the blue, the yellow-green, and the red. Once you've got your different x-axis preferences and your grid preferences set, I've got my configuration set. Now I can start adding fluorochromes to the list. There's a few different ways you can do this. You can scroll through the list and double-click to add different fluors to the chart above. If you're looking for a particular fluor, you can search for it in the list. So I can type PE here, and that'll filter the list of options based on everything that contains PE in the name. Again, I can double-click to add. If I make a mistake, I can use this little X icon to remove that dye from my list. If I want to clear all of them and start over, there's this clear all button up here. So let me go ahead and add a few dyes back to our list here. Another way you can add is if I delete my search criteria from this first box, I can search by the peak channel name. So maybe I want to find something that maximally emits in UV6. You can see the results for anything that has its peak channel in UV6 are shown below. I'm going to go ahead and pick Live Dead Blue and add that to my list. Now, if there's a peak channel that doesn't have any dyes that peak in it, say UV1 for example, you won't get any results. So I now have 3 different tags added to my list. If you find that there's a specific fluorochrome that you wish was in the viewer, but it's not here yet, you can scroll to the bottom of the viewer and click this Let Us Know link and submit the form there to submit your suggestion. We'll do our best to get it added. There's definitely some fluorochromes that we have easy access to and others that we do not. Another option too is if you have that sample that you're working with, we can work with you to get that spectrum added to the viewer. Another option to add dyes to this list for pre-existing kits or panels is we have these blue colored buttons. So for our 14-color C-Fluor immunoprofiling kit, I can double-click that button, and all 14 tags from that kit have now populated on this plot. If I hover on one of the tags on the plot, I can get the name of the fluorochrome to appear. If I want to change the colors and styling of these line plots, I can go down to the tag I want to modify, click on the square. You've got 3 different pattern options. You could do solid line, dotted line, or dashed line. So I'll go ahead and pick dashed for this one. Then you can pick any of these preset colors, or you can click on custom color and drag the slider to find a color you like. You've got many options here. Or if you know the RGB definition of the color you want to work with, you can go ahead and type that in directly. Then just click outside of this little box somewhere to close the window, and your color is now set in that custom color box. I'll click close to get rid of this window, and now you can see C-Fluor V420 now has a dashed blue color to it, and it's updated on the plot up here too. If I want to take this plot with me, I've got a couple of export options. One, I can export it like you were going to print the page. So if I click Export Spectra, my print dialog opens, and I can choose to save it as a PDF, or if I have a printer that's connected, I can set the destination to that printer and print the page directly. Another option is I can export this plot as PNG, and you can see it downloads and saves a copy of the plot that way. Another handy tool in the Spectrum viewer is the Similarity and Complexity button. If I go ahead and click that, you'll see this window opens up, and I get this triangular appearance of the similarity and complexity matrix. So you've got all the different similarity indices represented here for each pair of fluorochromes. And underneath the table, you've got the complexity index for the overall set of fluorochromes that you've selected. If you prefer to have a square representation of this matrix rather than a triangle, you can use the buttons up here to toggle back and forth the display. But you can see it's the same information in duplicate in the square. So like this V450, V420 similarity of 0.87. You'll see it again when you move over here. C-floor V450, C-floor V420. It's just a matter of how you want to look at things. If you want to take this chart with you, you can scroll down and you've got some export options again. You can export the table as a PDF or as a PNG, or you can take the table itself into a CSV file, and then you can play with the numbers or color code them how you see fit. I'm going to click Close to get rid of that window. The last tool is the Create Experiment button. And what that's going to do is it's going to open up the SpectroFlo Experiment Builder, which should look and feel very close to the SpectraFlow software that you're familiar with. Once you're inside here, you can see that some of the information from the Spectrum viewer has already ported over. So it already set my instrument configuration for me. And in the tag lists, it has those 14 tags from my seafloor kit that I had populated from the Spectrum viewer. Once I'm here, I can go ahead and name my experiment. And I typed an apostrophe and it wasn't happy with me about that. So there are some characters that are not allowed in the names. And that pop-up message scolded me for doing so. So let me rename it as Janelle Test Experiment. If I already have a SpectraFlow Experiment zip file that I want to start with, I can use this Import button, click that, locate the file on my computer, and bring it directly into the builder and modify from there. Or if I come back to this experiment builder and I want to clear my cache and reset everything that's in this builder, I can click the Reset Experiment button, and that'll clear out all tags and any group or marker definitions you may have established. All right, I'm going to keep building the experiment here for my 14 color seafloor kit. I'm going to click Next. And now you can see I've progressed to the Groups tab. Once in the Groups tab, I need to decide how I want to acquire my samples, if I want to use a tube, or if I want to use a 96 well plate. I'm going to take the tube. I'll add a group, and this can be my multicolor samples group. And again, it's a lot like SpectraFlow, so you can click and add groups, or click and add more tubes as needed. You can change the tube name, or you can add tubes in multiple increments using this button here. Maybe I want to add 2 more tubes at once, like that. If I need to add a reference group, I'll click the reference group button. And again, should look and feel very similar to what you're used to inside SpectraFlow. You can add labels as needed. You can add additional unstained controls as needed. And you can link your single stained controls to a dedicated negative control if needed. Once you've set that up, you can click Save. And now you can see my reference group has populated the list too. Once all my tubes are added, I can click Next, and now I've moved on to the Markers page. In the Markers page, all the reference group markers are controlled in that Groups tab, just like they are inside SpectraFlow software. I can scroll down to see my other samples, my non-single stained controls, and I can go ahead and add labels to these as needed. Once everything's set up, I can click Export, and you can see that a zip file exported from this tool. And this zip file is special. It is formatted to be a SpectroFlo experiment template. So you can take that file, transfer it to the cytometer computer, and inside SpectraFlow on your cytometer's computer, go to the Library section, go to Experiment Templates, and click Import to bring this file directly into your software. Then you can open that template inside SpectraFlow on your cytometer and continue editing your experiment as needed to set your stopping criteria or add keywords. And then you're ready to run your experiment.